There's a person you probably know. Maybe it's someone in your family. Maybe it's your best friend. Maybe, if you're honest with yourself, it's you. They're always available. They never say no. They solve other people's problems before solving their own. And the more they give, the more the people around them take, as if it were natural. They are called generous, a good person, someone you can rely on. But Fyodor Dostoevsky saw something that almost no one has the courage to say out loud. This person is not sacrificing themselves out of love. They are erasing themselves out of fear. And the worst part, the world won't thank them. The world will keep consuming. Stay until the end, because at some point in this video, you will recognize someone you love, or yourself, and it will change the way you see certain relationships forever. But before we get there, I need to ask you a question that Dostoevsky asks in a brutally honest way in his novels. Is there a difference between kindness and the inability to value yourself? Hold on to that question. It will come back. Dostoevsky spent his entire life fascinated by a specific type of human being, not the villain, not the hero, but the humble one, the submissive one, the one who carries the weight of the world on their shoulders and smiles while doing it. In many of his novels, this character appears in different forms, but the structure is always the same. A genuinely good person who comes into contact with a world that was not made for people like them. And Dostoevsky doesn't romanticize this, he dissects it. He shows how limitless generosity is not pure virtue. It is often an unhealed wound that has learned to disguise itself as love. Here's the first thing readers of Dostoevsky discover, and it changes the way they understand the people around them. There is a huge difference between giving because you overflow and giving because you believe you don't deserve to keep anything for yourself. The first kind of generosity comes from a place of inner abundance. The second comes from a silent belief that your worth depends on the approval of others. And the problem is that these two things look identical from the outside. The person who gives because they overflow can say no when necessary. They have boundaries. They take care of themselves. The person who gives because they fear losing others' love cannot stop. For them, stopping helping would be the same as stopping existing. Dostoevsky places this conflict at the center of some of his most devastating characters, and what happens to them is too uncomfortable to ignore. Think about the kind of person that repeatedly appears in Dostoevsky's novels. Someone of humble origin, with no social power, no resources, who still organizes their life around the needs of others. This person writes long, careful letters, gives what they have, even when they have almost nothing, justifies the flaws of the people they love with a loyalty that borders on delusion. And when something good finally appears in their life, when a door opens, when there's a real chance to break out of that cycle, they step back. They convince themselves they don't deserve it. Or worse, they put someone else's needs ahead of their own salvation. Why? Because for this kind of person, existing without serving feels too dangerous. Usefulness has become identity. Helping has become the only way to justify their presence in the world. And here is where Dostoevsky does something brilliant, something modern psychology would take another century to name. He shows that constant self-erasure is not altruism. It is an emotional survival mechanism that got stuck in the wrong place. Now, coming up something that will make you rethink specific relationships in your life. Dostoevsky observed, and this is disturbing, that the more someone erases themselves for another person, the less that person tends to value them. Not because people are necessarily cruel, but because human beings unconsciously calibrate value based on the resistance something offers. When someone never says no, their yes loses meaning. When someone is always available, their presence stops being a gift and becomes an expectation. And the cruelest part is that those who give without limits are often seen not with admiration, but with a mix of condescension and irritation, as if their generosity were a moral inconvenience, a silent demand, an emotional weight no one asked to carry. Dostoevsky's characters live this. They give themselves completely, and instead of gratitude, receive distance. Instead of reciprocated love, they receive condescending tolerance. And the most devastating part is that they continue anyway, because stopping would mean admitting the strategy never worked. Here we reach the core of what Dostoevsky is really saying. He is not saying that generosity is a mistake. He is saying something much more specific and much more uncomfortable. When your identity depends on someone else's need, you are not loving that person. You are using them. For what? To feel like you exist. To feel like you have value. To avoid the emptiness that appears when you are alone with yourself and don't really know who you are outside the role of solving other people's problems. And the other person, the one receiving this compulsive giving, senses it. Maybe not consciously, but on some level, they feel that they are not being loved freely. They are being needed. And there's a huge difference between being loved and being needed. Being loved gives you freedom. Being needed traps you. That's why many of Dostoevsky's characters who receive this excessive giving react with ambivalence. They feel suffocated by a love that never asks for anything. Because a love that never asks for anything is actually asking all the time. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm worthy. Tell me my existence makes sense. And now we return to the question from the beginning. Is there a difference between kindness and the inability to value yourself? Dostoevsky answers with brutal clarity. Yes, there is. And the difference lies in one thing: freedom. True kindness borns free. It can say yes, but it can also say no. It cares for others without needing them to confirm its value. Self-erasure does not have that freedom. It is compulsive. It cannot stop. It confuses existence with usefulness. And that is why in Dostoevsky's novels, these characters always end up in the same place: exhausted, invisible, consumed by a devotion that was never really about others. It was always about their own emotional survival. What looked like virtue was in fact a prison built brick by brick with their own hands. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no and felt good about it for exactly 5 minutes before a dull exhaustion took over? How many times have you solved someone's problem when they didn't even ask you to, silently waiting for recognition that never came? How many times have you wondered why the people you help the most are exactly the ones who see you the least? Dostoevsky doesn't give easy answers because the problem is not technical. It goes deeper. The belief that your value is conditional, that you have to earn the right to exist. And as long as that belief is in place, the cycle will repeat. What is beautiful and at the same time difficult about Dostoevsky is that he doesn't resolve things. There is no clean redemption, no perfect ending. Because real life doesn't work that way either. What he offers is something else: clarity. And maybe that is enough to begin. Because true kindness doesn't come from fear. It comes from wholeness. It is the ability to love others without disappearing. It is knowing that you exist fully, legitimately, even when you are not useful to anyone. Now, I want to hear from you. In your view, when someone lives to help others endlessly, is it genuine love or fear disguised as generosity? Write in the comments, love or fear. Just that. 2 words. But your choice will reveal how you see the most important relationships in your life. And if this video touched something you never knew how to name, share it with someone who also gives too much of themselves. Sometimes the right message arrives through the right person. Did you like it? The like tells the algorithm this kind of content deserves to exist and helps me keep bringing Dostoevsky and other authors who challenge you in the right way here.